Hello guys, so in today's video we will learn about conditional statement, which is basically how computers make decisions. So I will first show you guys a concept in Java, which should also apply to all languages. And I will also have a separate video in Python, which has slightly different syntax, but the concept should be exactly the same. So let's dive straight into this. So let's start with like a basic example. So for example, if I have a number, let's say 5. I have another number, let's call it 2, which is 10. Now, which is bigger, 5 or 10? Obviously 10 is bigger, but the computer doesn't know which is bigger. So we need to tell it. So one way we could do it is with an if statement. So we can say, okay, you know what? If the first number is, let's say number 2 is bigger than the first number, the variable, then say, let's call this num1 to make it easier. Num1 is bigger. All right. Otherwise, else num, let's copy this actually. Otherwise, num2 is bigger. All right. So let's run this. So there you go. So basically over here, it's saying if num2 is bigger, actually I labeled it incorrectly. Num2 is bigger, num1, it should be that. All right. So we can see which number is bigger. We're saying in this statement, we're saying, okay, first check number 2. If it's bigger, this is greater than sign. If it's greater than number 1, print out this statement stating that number 2 is bigger. Otherwise, num1 is bigger. Okay, now let's improve on this further. What if they're both the same numbers? What's going to happen? Let's see. It shouldn't print anything. Well, it's going to print number 1 is bigger. In fact, num1 is not bigger because they're why? Because they're same thing. So what we could do is we can add an else if. All right. So in else if, we can say, otherwise check if num2 or num1, if they're both equal to each other, then say both numbers are equal. Both numbers are equal. Otherwise, we know that num1 will be bigger. Let's run this. There you go, both numbers are equal. We can do this in a bunch of ways. We can flip this around. So for example, we can say, you know what? If num2 is less than num1, that means, num1 is bigger. You can replace this with that. Otherwise, they are both the same. Both numbers are the same. Both numbers are equal. So this is like the very basic concept on how if, else if, and else work. Okay guys, so let's do another example. This time let's take in an input from the user. So we'll use a scanner class, which basically allows us to take an input from the keyboard. We'll take the input from system.in. All right. And let's say system.out.print enter number. So this number, we're going to check if it's going to be even or odd, all right? So int num is equal to input dot next in. So this will be an int number. And let's comment this part out. All right. And let's do this. So first, we're going to check if a number is even. If it's not even, then else it's going to be an odd. So in order to check that, we need to see if that number is divisible by 2. So I'm going to use this mod symbol. So this % sign is the mod. And then we're going to mod it by 2 and equal to 0. So what we're doing here is checking if, let's say, a number that is divisible by 2, it's not going to have any remainder left. The remainder will be 0. If that number is not divisible by 2, then there's going to be a remainder left, meaning 1. So this is our even case. Okay, so if number is divisible by 2, then that means number is even. else else that number will be odd. Number is odd. All right. So let's run this. So let's do 10. So 10 is even. Let's run it again. Let's do 5. That's going to be odd. And let's do maybe one more. Let's do 1 odd. All right. So let's do another example. Okay. The difference between using bunch of if, using bunch of separate ifs versus else if. Okay. Now what I mean by that is, let's copy this. Okay. Let's copy this. All right. And we will say age. Let's take in an age. Okay. Enter age. I'm going to comment this out and this as well. I need actually this part. All right. So let's do this scenario first. Now, what if age, let's say if age is greater than 65, let's say that person is old, okay? System.out, we'll say that's old age, okay? You're hitting your old age now, okay, if you're greater than 65. And let's do another if. Now, if age is greater than 40, you are, middle age. Now, there's some issue with that as well, but I'll explain later. And let's say if you are greater than, let's say, I don't know, 20, you're young. Okay. I know it doesn't make sense. Less than 20 is technically younger, but let's go with this scenario. So let me run this. Okay, before I run this, I'm going to show you another statement. Now let's have this logic, the else if. Now, if age is greater than 65, let's copy this, print that here. Otherwise, else if age is greater than 40, let's copy that and replace this with middle. Else young age. Now let's run both of these, okay? Let's comment this out as well. All right, let's run this. Let's say I enter age of 35. Young age, okay? This is good. Now, what if I ran, let's say, instead of 65, let's say I run 66, okay? Now watch what's going to happen. We got old age, middle age, young age, old age, all right? Before I do this, let's make it easier to read the difference. Let's do this. Let's separate it out. And we are going to see what's going to happen. Let's do 66. So you can already see what the problem is. We entered age 66. With this if statement, right? We're saying, okay, if age is greater than 65, in this case, 66 is greater than 65, print this out. 66 is also bigger than 40, print this out. 66 is also bigger than 20. So you can already see the issue. It's running all of these if statement individually. If it's going to run this, then it's going to check this if statement, then it will check this if statement. All of these return true. Now, the difference between this way is it only printed out old age. Why? Because the way it's working is if age is greater than 65, in this case 66, evaluate this to true. So the moment it checks this statement is true, it exit out this entire block. Because this is an else if. So else if is saying, if it's not greater than 65, then maybe it's less than 65. Then go to this statement. The moment it saw what's greater than 6, it only checked this statement and exit out this entire block. So that's one of the key differences between using a bunch of ifs versus using if, else, if. All right. So now let's go over logical and, what a logical and is. And let's use the same example with the age. I'm going to comment this out and let's copy this. Let's use this example. All right. And let's comment that out as well. Let's do a logical AND on this, how we can fix this. So let's do the first scenario. All right. Let's do this. If age is greater or equal to 80, a person is very old. All right. He is very old. That's very old age, we'll say. However, what if that person is between 65 and 80? 65 and less than 80. We'll consider that to be old age. Okay. So to do that, we're going to use logical and this is how you do it in Java, C, C++, most languages. You would either see and, or you're going to see either this symbol or this, one or the other. All right. So if the person is, let's say, greater or than or equal to, if he's 65 or older and less than 80, okay, less than 80, then we're going to say he's old. All right. Now let's say, what if that person is between the age of 40 and less than 65? We're going to consider that to be middle age. Okay. And age is less than 65. We're going to call it middle age. All right. Let's do one more. If age is greater than or equal to, let's say, 25 and age is less than, let's say, 40. All right. We're going to say that person is young. And let's do one last scenario with the if age is less than 25, he's lucky. He's very young. Okay. That person is very young. Let's clean this up like this. Very young age. Okay, so let's run this. I'm going to comment this out. Okay, let's enter the age. So let's say the person is 66. Okay, that person is old. All right, so we printed this out. 66 is between 65 and 80. All right, now let's run this again. Let's say we do 40. That person is middle age. It ran this statement because 40 is this part. It's between the ranges of 40 and 65. What if you do, let's say, 59, middle age? Let's run it again. Let's say, the person is 18. He's very young. Okay. Let's do the young age. So let's do maybe 38. So 38, we're going to consider that to be young age, since 38 is between 25 and 40. So we use a logical AND operator. All right. Okay, so let's do another example with logical OR this time, okay? Logical OR. So one example we could do is, let's say if, instead of age, let's take in a number input, okay? Let's take in a number input. We'll call it num. Let's comment all this stuff out. All right, so let's see. If num, let's say if you want to check if a number is even and or if it's less than 20 or greater than 20, okay? If num is num mod 2, if that number is even or if that number is greater than 20, then maybe we could, do add up these number, okay? So this is a short way of writing. This is same thing as writing it like this. Num is equal to num plus num. All right. Same thing, right? This is just a short way of writing it. And we can print it out. System out println num. All right. Let's see this. Let's run this. Let's enter a num of let's say I do what should I do? 25. Okay. So now 25 is odd. It's not even. However, it is greater than 20. So it should go inside this if statement. Let's check it out. There you go. 1 and 50. You got. Okay. Let's run it again. Let's say we do 10. Now 10 is even, but not greater than 20. It's less than 20. However, with this logical OR, we're saying, hey, check whether that number is even or if it's greater than 20. In this case, this statement returned true. This statement returned false. But since we're using OR, it's going to go inside this loop. So if you run this, enter, it went in 20. Okay. So now what if I replace this with logical AND? All right. Now if I do 10, it's not going to run. Watch. It's not going to go inside the loop. There you go. It did not go in. Let's run it again. Let's say if I do 28. 28 is even and it's greater than 20. It's going to add them up. So as you guys can see, this is a difference between logical OR and logical AND. So logical OR basically checks if either of these statements return true. So either this should return true or this, one of them have to return true. Logical AND, on the other hand, basically checks, hey, both of these statements should return true in order for it to go inside this if statement. Okay, so the last thing I want to go over is switch statements. So let me delete all of this. And let's start from here. Let's take an input from user. System.in. Okay. We are going to run this loop forever until a user enters a month. So let's say we take in, we're going to do an example with the months. So let's say enter month and in. Okay. And let's say if month, okay, and month is equal to input dot next int. If month is equal to -1, we are going to exit out the loop. Now I'm going to have a separate video on break and if state on break and continue statements. So one way we could exit out a loop is using this break statement. This is telling us, okay, just break this loop, pretty much. So before I go into switch statement, let's do the scenario of if and else if. So let's say if we have month equal to 1, we are going to print out Jan. Let's copy this and do this a couple of times, okay? Let's maybe go up to like, I don't know, June. Okay. I think that's 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we will say this is invalid month. We only have 6 months in our year, okay? Invalid month. Else. And let's do Feb, March, April, May, and June. All right, let's run this. So enter a month. Let's do first one, 1. Okay, we got Jan. Let's do maybe 6. Okay, we got June. Let's do 4. We got April. Okay, let's do 6 one more time, June, and let's exit out this statement. All right. So let me describe what's going on here with this if and else if statement. Basically, the way it works is the program runs sequentially. So it runs line by line in this scenario, right? It's checking. It checks, hey, check if, for example, if I entered number 6, right? It's all the way down here. So the way it's going to work is it's going to first evaluate this statement. Then it's going to evaluate this statement. It's going to go to this one, this one, this one, and finally it's going to go to the end. So you can already see with this, we run into a little bit of a performance issue as well. The program is checking every single line. It's checking every single statement. And it's a little bit harder to read as well. So we can use something called switch statements. So let's replace this. Let's actually replace this with a switch statement. Okay, I'm going to comment that out. I'll leave that in there. So let's use switch, which takes in a month field. Okay. Let me clean it up. All right. and it uses a case. So let's say a case is 1. If case is 1, we are going to print out Jan, okay? Break. Okay, let's do case 2. Okay. This will be, let's copy, paste this. It will be Feb, and let's copy this a couple of times. All right. So this is 3. This is 4. This is 5. And let's do one more. 6. Okay, so Jan, Feb, March, April, May, and June. Okay. And we are going to have a default case, which will be basically invalid month. Okay. Invalid month. All right. And we are going to break this. So let's run this statement. So let's go to 6. All right, let's do 4. And let's do maybe negative. Let's do maybe like, I don't know, 7. 7 is invalid month. And let's do 6 again. And we are going to exit out. Okay. So first of all, this is a lot cleaner and easier to read. Second of all, so search statement basically uses like internally it's using a hash map to basically it's like a key value pair. So this is a key and these are the values, okay? So the way it works is if we enter 6, right, it's not going to evaluate every single statement. It's not going to check case 1, case 2, case 3. It's going to jump directly to 6. It's going to skip all of this and jump directly to 6. If we enter, let's say, 4 over here, it's going to jump directly to 4. So that's how it works. So that's a benefit of a search statement. So first, it's a lot cleaner and easier to read. Second, it's highly performant when we have a lot of these statements. Generally, there's a rule of thumb. If you have more than 5 or 6 bunch of if else like this, then try to go with the search statement because it's easier to read and it's more performant. Hopefully you guys got a better understanding of conditional statements. So we went over if statements, the difference between using if and if versus else if. We also went over logical and logical or. And at the end, we went over search statements. Now I'm going to have another video very similar to this in Python as well, if you guys are only interested in Python. So please do subscribe and take care.